Thank you to all those who have joined us. This is Khurram Salman, the program coordinator at the University of Strathclyde. We welcome you to our open day, and we promise you a delightful evening, and you will definitely walk away with something that you've learned. We have a simple program for you today. We're going to have a presentation about the MBA at Strathclyde, how is it delivered? But more than that, we're going to talk about why is MBA, any MBA, a good fit for you. Then we're going to hear directly from our alumni who've been here as part of the Strathclyde within Bahrain. And then we're going to move on to the question and answer sessions towards the end. At any point in time, you can chat to any one of the co-hosts or myself for any questions that you may have. But towards the end of it, if you have any questions, you can just raise hand and we will unmute you if you wish to ask yourself. Let's begin. We will have here with us Professor Dave Mackay, who is the MBA Academic Program Director. Dr. Dave Mackay is a professor of strategy in the Hunter Center for Entrepreneurship and the Academic Director for Faculty Programs at the Strathclyde Business School. His interests lie in exploring strategy, which is a core of University of Strathclyde, leadership and innovation practice, particularly relating to the use of digital technologies as a source of transformation and disruptive change. Let's welcome him. Professor Dave Mackay, the virtual screen is yours.
Thank you very much, Khurram, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be with you here virtually tonight to talk through the MBA and Strathclyde and to share some insights, as Khurram suggested. I'm going to share my screen and run through a short presentation, which we're happy to share as well afterwards, just to give you a flavour of the University of Strathclyde. We have a long and proud history in Bahrain and in other international territories. For us, we're based in Glasgow in Scotland. What I'd like to do tonight is give you a little bit of a snapshot of the university, what we stand for, what we've done in recent times, and then how the MBA fits within that, and what that means for those that study with us, the format, the content, and the implications of an MBA. And I'll share a few views based on our experience in working with MBA colleagues all around the world as to how an MBA can work for you, what maybe brings people to do an MBA, and why it might matter for future careers. So as Khurram suggested, please, any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and someone will respond to you immediately, or we can have our question and answer session later on. And thank you so much to our alumni colleagues and our colleagues from BIBF that have joined us tonight and made this event happen, and very much so to yourselves for your attendance this evening. So what I'd like to do to begin with is to give you a short video, or corporate video if you like, which gives you a sense of what Strathclyde does. Okay, so I'm just going to launch a video here, and this is a couple of minutes to give you an overview of the university. Okay.
At the University of Strathclyde, we believe ideas can change the world. Our achievements have been recognised with the award of the Times Higher Education's UK University of the Year, the first institution to receive the prestigious honour more than once. This accolade follows our success as the Sunday Times Good University Guide Scottish University of the Year and the award of the Queen's Anniversary Prize for Excellence in Energy Innovation. Our multi-award-winning community is improving health, safeguarding energy, and using quantum to push the boundaries of imagination. We're addressing climate change, where big ideas are needed more than ever. Our One Ocean Hub is working with 50 partners to transform the world's response to plastic pollution, rising sea levels, and overfishing. Together, we're empowering those who are reliant on the ocean for food, jobs, and transport, while protecting it for future generations. In Scotland, we're bringing together the best minds from business, industry, and government in the country's first innovation district. We're creating jobs and developing a place where shared ideas can thrive. Along the river, Strathclyde is at the forefront of the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland, an international centre to drive innovation and skills development. Whether we're bringing space data to Earth or developing fintech, our technology is built with people in mind. We're supporting our people by creating an inspiring campus and investing in learning and teaching, research and innovation hubs. We believe our people's health and happiness is at the heart of our success. We've transformed our wellbeing services, and our new Strathclyde sport facilities are empowering elite athletes and those who are trying something new. As a socially progressive university, we are committed to openness. We're bringing people of all backgrounds together, making an impact on our students, our city, and our global community. It's a way of working that makes our alumni attractive to employers and draws partners from around the world. Working together, big ideas can improve the world.
Okay, that is an overview, ladies and gentlemen, of the University of Strathclyde, the corporate body. What I'd like to do is just explain a little bit more about the business school, how it fits within the university, and that will then explain to you where the MBA is sited and what you might be able to access as students of Strathclyde should you choose to join us. The university itself was founded in 1796 by a gentleman called John Anderson, who was a professor at Glasgow University, our sister institution in the same city. And his vision was to create a place of useful learning. And that's really something that informs what we do to this very day. We have a strong focus on practice and practical application. And we were recognised in a number of different ways as being a highly effective contributor to the knowledge base, as firstly a technological university, so previously being a technological college, then converting 80 years ago to a university, and one that has been recognised constantly by the sector for our achievements in education, in research and in industry engagement. We are very proud of some of these awards. You don't set out to do your work to win awards, but when they arrive, it feels like a really nice validation of what we've been doing. And being the only university to win the Times Higher Education University of the Year twice, we are really pleased for our students that they can be associated and make these claims about where they have studied and where they have learned also. The business school, so Strathclyde Business School, SBS, was founded in 1948 and has been at the edge of managerial practice ever since. We have our main facility in Glasgow, but are really proud of our international network, and I'll be explaining later as to just how our international network features and serves the MBA. We are really at the edge of applied management research. I think that's the way I would put it, that we work extensively with business. We are in the top 10 in the UK for our business research, and that matters to the MBA because we draw on that work, that development, that research to inform the content of our programme. We are triple accredited, which means that the school is recognised by AACSB, the American awarding body, and EQUIS, the European awarding body, as being at the highest level of management education. And we also have Mba, the Association of MBAs, which is the recognition of the highest mark of quality in MBA delivery. So that's our triple accreditation. But beyond that, we have what's known as the Small Business Charter for our work with the emerging business community. And what that means is we have been recognised at the highest level for our contribution to growing the economy, to helping entrepreneurs start up. And again, we look to bring that knowledge and expertise into our programs such as the MBA. Our MBA has really been a flagship program for us for over 50 years now. And in the UK, we were the first business school to ever offer a one-year full-time MBA back in 1966. That was before me, I have to confess. We have the part-time MBA, the first in the UK to do that from 1976, in flexible modes, and then international study. So we were pioneers of international working for executive MBA programs, such as we deliver in Bahrain. We are very proud to have been in the country for over 25 years now. We have an excellent partnership with BIBF, a premium institute that we are looking to the future with strength, and just excited for the move to the new building. And it's been a fantastic partnership, and we look forward to much more in the future. And we have partnerships around the world in the MBA which operate in the same format. It's the same program that runs in the UK, it's the same content, and we operate in Bahrain, in the UAE and Oman, in the GCC. We're in Southeast Asia, in Malaysia and Singapore, and in Europe, in addition to the UK, we are in Greece and Switzerland. That has implications for the MBA study, that during the course of your term, you're working with your peers on the core content. But when we do electives, when we do special events, when we do alumni engagement, we are now opening these right up through our international network. So part of the MBA experience is having the chance to mingle and learn with people from all across our international centres. In terms of the school, just to explain the colleagues that inform the MBA, we, as a university, actually, firstly, let me say that, we have 4 main faculties. We have the engineering faculty, humanity and social sciences and science, alongside the business school. And increasingly, colleagues from these different departments, different faculties, are involved in some aspect of the MBA. You know, the way the world has developed, topics like digital transformation mean that there are challenges that don't behave to the laws of how you design a faculty or set of faculties. They focus around problems which needs multidisciplinary approaches to solve. And we are increasingly working with colleagues from across our full range of faculties in order to give the best, most relevant programs and study experience in our MBA. Within the school, we have 6 main academic departments and the MBA and international unit, which sits between them all. So in the MBA unit and the international unit, we work with colleagues from all our main subject areas to provide the MBA degree. I mentioned earlier the research that's at the forefront of what we do as well. We have a number of centres within the school who, funded by the UK government or the Scottish government or industry or by their own practice, are progressing knowledge in a number of different relevant areas, from operations management and employment practice through economics, financial regulation, decision-making and digital transformation. The relevance to our MBA study is, you'll find out shortly, that we give you this space to explore your interests in the MBA through the project and electives in particular. And colleagues from across all these leading centres are part of that team that support and enable your personalised learning as part of your MBA journey. So that's a little bit about the institution and the school and the resources that are behind the MBA. But what about the programme itself? The Mba Structure you may be familiar with if you've looked at the website, which I'd just like to take a few moments to talk through what we do and why we do it. The MBA as a master's degree requires you to complete what we call 180 credits of learning. So credits is just our unit of measuring the amount of work involved in an initiative. And we have 120 credits, so 2/3 of the MBA is taken up with core classes. So these are classes that cover the full range of disciplines that you need to obtain a general management degree like the MBA, and they're mandatory. You know, you are obliged to do them as a core part of your study. We start off with an exploration of your personal effectiveness, some giving you tools and methods to understand how to lead, how to govern, and how to reflect on yourself through the Reflective Practitioner module. So that's a collection of 3 classes which deal with entrepreneurial mindset and leadership, corporate governance, and approaches to learning as a manager and creating a learning environment. They're followed up with 60 credits of what we call making the business work, which is 6 interrelated core classes, which deal with finance and financial management, accounting, operations, marketing, decision-making and analytics for decision-making, and also managing people and human resource concerns. These are the sorts of topics that are almost the foundational learning for managers, that if you understand and engage in those classes, then it's giving you confidence and capabilities across the general management tasks. In Strathclyde, we have a history and a heritage with strategy. Myself, I'm a professor of strategy, as Kuram introduced, and it's an absolute pleasure to be associated with the programme and with Strathclyde in the strategy space. We look at strategy as a multi-dimensional idea. Exploring the international business environment helps us think about global effects and using scenarios to imagine what the future might hold for an organisation. With strategy analysis and evaluation, we understand the importance of looking at economics, but also social considerations of strategy around stakeholder perspectives. And we look at tools that can help us as managers understand strategy from a wide range of perspectives. And then with making strategy, we look at processes for working with others to formulate and implement strategy in an effective manner. And those elements sit together alongside strategic consulting and practice, where we put into play all the things we've learned in the MBA to serve real client needs in a practical applied project. As I mentioned earlier, the electives and the project give you the scope to then customize your learning. So you choose electives from a panel of options which come from across the school and also the other faculties within Strathclyde, dealing with specialist topics and interests from project management through commercial law to data analytics, a whole range of different considerations there. And the electives are changed and updated on a reasonably regular basis as our knowledge and our research unfolds, adding new options for you to explore. The project itself at the end is where you set the agenda. You write the learning objectives within a set of guidelines for a topic that really matters to you. So if you imagine that you're really interested in how to run sales processes in a digital environment for strategic gain, for example, I just made that up off the top of my head, that it's that, whatever is specifically important to you, you can set that as your target ambition to explore that. You have a supervisor who guides you over a period of months through a deep exploration of this, so that you come out of your MBA not just with the general management degree, but with mastery of a topic that's of high relevance and high importance to you for your future career. And that concludes your MBA journey in terms of the taught classes. But beyond that, as we'll hear today as well, we have an absolutely incredible alumni base. We are blessed with some fantastic ex-students across the world. There's something in the region of at least 5,000 MBA students as a community that are active across our different international centres that you become part of once you leave. And what we find time and again from students, and I was so pleased for our alumni to explain their views on this later on as well, is that your MBA gives you benefits within the lifetime of the programme, but afterwards those benefits should grow. You should find continued reuse of the learning that you've gained, and the professional development and the network that you acquire through your study is there for you to be part of and contribute to and learn from on a continuing basis. In terms of how the classes run, so the majority of those core classes follow a very similar format, where particularly spurred on by recent years' developments, we have a wide range of online learning materials to support your understanding of core concepts and theories and examples. So this will include reading, it'll include lecturer videos, it'll include curated materials, so where we've assembled different online activities for you to learn at your own pace and your own way about some core concepts. The benefit of that is that you can take your time, you can work at your own pace, and you can go over materials as much as you like in order to get to a certain level. But that is really to prime you for the live engagement that you have as part of your MBA with your tutors, with your peers, through a range of different activities. I'm going to explain in the next slide how that works, give an example class. But in the live part of your learning journey, which really is where you explore the practicalities and the applications and the challenges associated with a topic, you're working with your colleagues in group activities, having debates, having interactions, working with the tutor, exploring whatever relevant aspect of the subject matter you're looking at that is part of the curriculum. This can often involve external parties as well. So increasingly in recent years, we've been involving external engagement and alumni colleagues as part of classes to come in and share their ideas and to work alongside students to help new learning and new insights. So you have your online support materials, then you have your live activities, and each module will conclude with an assessment task that is designed to help you demonstrate your capabilities in the topic, and where possible, allow you to gain maximum impact from your study against your own personal learning objectives. So what I mean by that is many of the assignments you have associated with classes will allow you to select a case. It could be your own workplace, or it could be an organization that's of high interest to you, or some sort of institution or technology or whatever that really matters to you. So where we can, we give you choice about the specific assignment focus that you have, whilst everyone gets the same task to do. And what we found is that, MBA is a post-experience degree. Everyone has worked, everyone has been in that management situation. And it allows you then to follow your instincts and follow your interests as you go on a very deep and personal learning journey. The way classes tend to run, there's slight variation according to subject and the time of year. So we do accommodate, and working with BIBF, accommodate local adjustments around specific national holidays, etc. A 10-credit class will typically start with some introductory session, a webinar led by the tutor that would take place on a weekday evening, probably 1 to 2 hours, in which the class is introduced, the syllabus summarised, and some sort of activity together just to get going with thinking about the topic, which is then followed by what we call local counsellor sessions. Local counsellors are knowledgeable individuals approved and collaborating with the university at BIBF, who will guide you through part of the syllabus, chairing sessions, chairing debates, giving you information and insight in sort of preparation sessions for what are called the intensive seminars. So the local counsellor sessions happen in weekday evenings, typically in advance of 2-day weekend sessions with the class tutor. Those intensive seminars run through a range of different activities to progress your understanding, to work through the materials, and are then followed up with further local counsellor sessions, and then a wrap-up session similar to the introduction, summarising the key issues and the progress and recapping before you then complete an assignment task, which will typically be 3 to 4 weeks after the class has concluded. Like I said, there's a little bit of variation according to the subject, according to the demands of the tasks in hand. One of the key things about Strathclyde and how we do things is we aim for maximum flexibility. We need everyone to be able to keep pace and to work through the programme in an effective manner. But we are dealing, we know we are dealing with participants who are busy and of high calibre and at a point in their careers where we need to be flexible as well. So we work very hard with our partners and with our colleagues to try and accommodate the student experience. We really do our best to look out for our students, and our flexibility and ability to manage your classes in a way that fits with life. That's something that we are proud of and we continue to strive for. So that's the way classes tend to run, ladies and gentlemen. I really like the focus of this session tonight when colleagues at BIBF were explaining it, that is an MBA a good fit for you? And just wanted to finish this short talk with some thoughts about how you can think about that question further. Really like it. It's really important that you do any sort of form of study at a time that is right and in a mode that is right. What we find is that with it being a post-experience degree, the MBA attracts a very broad range of individuals to participate. Part of our Mba accreditation is that you must have at least 3 years experience in the workplace in order to join, because you need that to be able to reflect. Thank you to Kuram for compiling the statistics on the screen from last year's intake profile. You can see there just how varied the profile of attendees are. People are drawn from all manner of different backgrounds across a wide age range, nationality, with a good gender split, and from many, many different industries. That brings so much richness to the classroom. It's a wonderful learning environment where it's amazing how often we take things for granted in our management lives and in our work lives, because that's the way our industry operates or our sector operates, or it's how things have happened in a particular part of the world. And when we're mixed with others who come from different backgrounds, and we create the safe space and the learning space to exchange ideas and views, that can really progress our understanding of what it means to be a manager and a leader in an organization. The reasons people eventually take up the MBA are many and varied. I would say the most common one is when you have come from a technical background and you're moving into management. And that is an entirely different skill set often to the technical specialties that have been acquired. Typically, someone's asked to move into management because they've been performing well in their technical role. And to aid that transition and give maximum chance for success, an MBA can help with the skills and knowledge and insights required to make that jump. We have others, though, that join because they're curious about management theory and practice. You know, there's such a dynamic environment in which we're all operating now that the more we know and understand about the different strands of management, potentially the more effective we can be. So we do have colleagues and students that are drawn to the MBA because they want to know more in depth about how management works in theory and in practice. We see others who are drawn to the benefits for career progression that the MBA can bring. It's a worldwide recognised qualification, probably one of the most recognised qualifications, and having it on your CV is something that can often unlock doors for you in career progression and promotion. We have others who join to make sense of management experiences that they've had. We've had a number of colleagues who've joined us at later stages of their management career, and they use the MBA to unpick and build deep understanding of things they've done over the course of building businesses or running organizations. We know that there's a real draw to the MBA because it gives significant opportunity for professional development and network building, and can prepare colleagues well for meeting new work challenges. And these are just some of the ideas that bring people to study their MBA, and the MBA gives value for each of these different points. It might be some of these in combination that are of interest to some of our students, or there may be other factors as well. But I guess the point of this is that there are so many reasons that bring people to an MBA. What feels really important is that you understand why you might be doing it yourself, and ask, is this the right time for me? Will I get maximum benefit from doing an MBA at this point in my career? So that's something to really think about. In terms of what an MBA will do for you, I don't want to read through every word on here, but this is a direct extract from the Mba accreditation document. So if you remember, Mba is the Association of MBAs. It's one of the 3 accreditations that we have for the MBA, and they require us to fulfill these outcomes in our program. These are the graduate attributes. So those that take the MBA should be able to demonstrate these skills and these characteristics by the end of their study. And you can see it covers so many different things, ladies and gentlemen. Much of this is about you as an individual and as a leader, and how you can inspire others, how you can make decisions, process data, and how you can act in a way that represents integrity and ethics and positive benefit to organizations and society. And there's other elements within that as well, as about how you affect others around you in creating learning environments, in dealing with other cultures and other parts of the world, in managing the needs of different stakeholders. And these attributes, the syllabus is designed to address these. When you come into the MBA, some of these elements will be strong for you. and there'll be areas that others will learn from how you are particularly capable in some of these attributes already. And there'll be other areas where you sense I could benefit significantly in developing in this space. So what we do through our accredited approach and the quality assurance frameworks that go with it is give every MBA student the opportunity to develop each of these characteristics in full through the course of their studies. And we do advise potential students to look at these and consider, would that help them? Would that be of benefit to them to acquire and develop in these different characteristics? So apologies, this is I told the colleagues at BIBF I needed to put just at least one little bit of theory into this. You'd be disappointed if I didn't. That a topic that was of high interest to me. So I started as a practitioner. I was an engineer and then a manager with Procter & Gamble, the multinational consumer goods firm. And this really spoke to me as someone getting involved in business and management and strategy studies. Quite simply, managers matter in organizations because they are one of the key determinants of an organization's performance over time in adapting, surviving, and thriving. That is a proven or a strongly supported assertion from management research. And it pivots on the fact that managers have the power to allocate resources, which are typically scarce. Through the decisions and the choices made by managers, they have a huge impact on then how the organization performs. Effectively, if it's not on the management radar and there's not attention and understanding to a given topic, then it's unlikely that ideas will take hold in that space in an organization. Now, the research says that there's 3 interrelated characteristics of managers that have a profound impact on that sort of management capability. There's the knowledge and experience, what's referred to as human capital, which is about the skills that we acquire, the way we use and understand our experience, and the technical knowledge we acquire in topics like finance, in topics like operations management, etc. Then there's the relationships and networks aspect of our personality and our performance, which is referred to as social capital, which is the influence and information flows that come from our personal networks and our contacts and our connections. And then these 2 elements come together in our ways of thinking, what they call our cognitive models, which is the thought processes that drive our actions and shape our beliefs and values and really our intellectual capacity. And between those 3 elements, we make decisions. You know, these 3 elements together combine to the choices and the actions that we take as managers to develop ourselves and to develop others around us and have a direct impact on how our organization performs over time. Now, that model really spoke to me when I was transitioning back from industry into academia. It's something I could set topics like and subjects like the MBA against. For me, what an MBA will give you in relation to that model is it will help you acquire the knowledge, methods, and abilities to think, talk, and act like a strategic leader. You will have elements of that already, but you will be able to skill up and tune up in your development areas and have confidence in what you've already acquired yourself. You get the chance to grow your professional network for that social capital, that influence. And through the new connections and contacts you make, you'll be able then to be a more effective operator. And you'll learn how to continually develop your own style, your own education, your own learning beyond the MBA and create an environment where others can learn also. When you bring those together, your confidence and capabilities as a general manager in not just the core functions of the business, but also mastering and being able to navigate the changing world around you will only grow and increase. So when we think about why an MBA might be a fit for you, if these topics that I've just described don't resonate or are not really at the forefront of your mind just now, then it might not be the right time for an MBA. If they are of interest, at least in part, or there's elements where it's worth exploring further and challenging yourself further, then there's absolutely connections and benefits that could be made from an MBA to aid you on that journey. And we're all different, and there's always a matter of timing in this as well. And I think I really appreciate the colleagues at BIBF posing that as the topic for tonight, because that is such a valuable and key question for us all to be asking ourselves as we go. So the final thought from me is good luck with your choice of study. Maybe someday you'll be in the blue and white gowns of Strathclyde, graduating with an MBA. And if you are, we look forward to working with you soon. And if you're not, we wish you all the very best with your career and your own personal development. Really thank you for your attention for that short presentation tonight. I hope you found some of that interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We really, really do appreciate it. To all those who might have joined us a bit later, hold on towards the end of it. We have a question and answer session. If you have any questions to ask at that point in time, please raise your hand or type it in to us, and we will be answering those questions towards the end. Once again, Dave, thank you for joining us. Thank you for bringing your valuable experience as a value add to us this evening. We will now move ahead with our alumni talk, and we will hear directly from the alumni as to what do they think about the program and how was their experience going further with this. We have two alumni joining here with us today, and we're going to start with the older alumni, so the one who was in the program a long time ago, but he's here with us today, so he has had more experience in terms of his MBA that he has implemented out in the world. Shafi Al-Manai. Shafi has 13 years of banking experience. He started as a sales agent at Ithmar Bank in 2008, then moved to BBK as an HR professional and currently working in the National Bank of Bahrain as an HR manager and corporate social responsibility officer. That's a mouthful. Shafi holds a master's degree in business admin from Strathclyde University and a bachelor's in accounting from New York Institute of Technology. Shafi, who is here with us today, is one of our star alumni. Let's hear what he has to say. Shafi, over to you.
Thank you very much, Haram, Dave, and all the VIBF colleagues and Strathclyders. I think this is a great opportunity for us to highlight this inquiries that sometimes it comes to the surface. To be honest, a great pack by Dave. I wish I had this kind of luxury back then when I had to make a decision whether to take an MBA or not. But I'm glad that I took that path, of course. Whenever I'd speak from an alumni point of view, I think at the beginning, MBA, it's all about defining the goals. For me, coming from multiple areas or educational backgrounds where I started off back in high school, more in the science sector, I moved on to an accounting-based or finance-based undergraduate, and then I moved to MBA. So I think diversification is always healthy when it comes to career progression. Defining the goal of each candidate, I think this is the kickstart or the tipping point whereby an individual should make a decision whether to pursue an MBA or not. However, I should highlight that an MBA is not something that someone would look at it as a quick win for anyone. It is a long-term strategy. Some of them see it as a short-term strategy. It depends on the goals defined. Of course, this is much aligned with the career progression of any individual. And in my case, after probably 6 or 7 years of experience, I decided to take the MBA with Strathclyde. And at that point, I had a fair amount of years and experience. However, when I started off with the program, it was very clear, and I started off with many relative subjects and material, which some of them I took back in the bachelor's. But what is important is that we see it in a different way. If I'm going to take an example, is for example the balance sheet. You might take a finance subject in master's, and the way you see it probably from a shallow, or let's say a very shallow point of view, you would say, that material is very familiar to me. And once you go through the textbook, you might say, you know what, I can just get a full mark on that. The main point here is how would you apply all these things within your experience, and how to even forward thinking and apply it in your career. In a sense that a balance sheet for an accountant graduate might be very easy in terms of knowing exactly what the elements are. But when it comes to MBA, at least to me, it helps me more from the strategic point of view. I could easily go through numbers and decide what are those numbers. This is attributed to non-performing loans, et cetera, et cetera. But most importantly is to know how to attribute this to the decision making, whereby I'm in a meeting with the CFO, the CEO, and all the executives, whereby those numbers should be translated into a decision making. And this is where the strategy part comes in, where this gives a lot of networking, as Dave said. It is not just a textbook you read at home and come back with with a quiz you need to pass on. It is more of interaction, challenging ideas, opinions. I remember in Strathclyde, we've been in groups and we had a lot of arguments, healthy arguments, of course. And I think this is the fruit of all this. It's more important to know the phase where you're going to take the MBA. Of course, as Dave said, there's a minimum of 3 years. And also, I could elaborate on this. Many think that masters in general, not just the MBA, is a key just to boost up your job opportunity once you finish the university. It's absolutely not the case. I'm from an HR point of view as a professional. We don't see that, at least to my opinion and my background, as not an incentive for a person to get a higher salary at the very stage of the career. It is in fact, a long-term investment in knowing to know what you study and how you apply it to work. So if you have 2 years experience, you might be a bit helpful with the MBA, because the thing is, you're going to study what have you done in the bachelor's and you go on study it in the master's and you think that it's very relevant. Whereby if you had, for example, 5 years experience, you would see it from a different point of view. You have a lot of relative and references you could align both into studies. Another point was which also they brought up, which I think is very critical, is MBA is very much directed into giving your space to be in the management. Technical, as Dave said, being very technical, such as the IT. Now, the IT sector is growing organically by 10% each year in terms of positions. From an HR point of view, there's a lot of demand in terms of the IT positions, especially in the financial sector, given the fintech and all the information security and the attacks and all that. So there's a lot of demand in that. So once you get to know more about this information technology and getting the certifications in Microsoft, etc., it takes you away from getting to know how the business runs. It gets you more in deep into technical abilities, trying to be certified in certain areas. But most importantly, when MBA comes the time where you want to be a person that takes decisions, to be a person that is reliable and have a more risk profile within the organization, I think this is where the MBA takes place. I mean, we go back, Elvin and Malishka. I remember, my batch, it was more sort of a shock for me at that point of view. Most of the batch were medical professionals, pharmaceutical, engineering. And at the time I said, what am I doing here? I'm from a business background and I think either I don't fit or something is wrong. But, as you go along, it is very healthy to be through that kind of diverse background. A medical professional might, think of opening a clinic in the future. An engineer might think of taking a role within the organization, which is a higher level. And, a study I've read back a while, if you notice, most of the CEOs, at least back in the, older generation, you would notice that most of them are from engineering background, more structured way, or let's say more structured educational. And the reason for that is when they have gone through the engineering process of learning in the university, it helped them further to be a decision maker, which is a great combo for anyone to be in that position. And even back in the CEOs where I work in 3 banks now, all of them, or I remember most of them, I had probably 4 or 5, all of them had an engineering or let's say a more technical background, which put them in a situation where the decision is being taken. They have an incentive to know exactly what that decision is being based on, not just from management point of view, but from a technical point of view. They have this combo of seeing things differently. In my opinion, I don't want to take much long, but to be honest, if today there's a demand on people to get to know more about how the business runs. And today it is not just a luxury just to have all this. MBA has the combo of knowing every subject. I remember having finance, marketing, all the subjects that you had in bachelor's. But if you're coming from a business background, you would come and say, I know all this. But believe me, I've been in that position. When you see it from that view and having a diverse, discussions with the project team and all the program is based on communication and teamwork, you would notice that it's not just your opinion or it's just a solid text that you have to rely on. I hope for anyone, just to think about that and have a relative reference in terms of how to study and when to study the MBA. I hope I covered most of what I remember as an alumni. I thank the IBF and Strathclyde, Dave and all the team in bringing this up. I think it's a good refreshment even for me to see all that, and I go back and remember all these things back again. Thank you.
Thank you, Shafi. We really, really appreciate once again you joining in and telling us, to all those who are attending, just letting you know, Shafi was not paid for this. This is straight from his heart. It's unfiltered, coming straight away. And so is going to be the case for our next alumni speaking as well. We have with us Zainab Asiri, who is currently a financial consultant working with institutional clients. She previously held a vice president position with BNP Paribas Islamic Banking Division. Zainab has a deep knowledge on structuring financial products for different business lines such as DCM, loan syndication, structured finance, and asset management. I'm not going to pretend to know what all of those mean, but I'm sure Zainab learned a few of these in the Strathclyde MBA as well. She has experience with several asset classes across various geographies. Besides her banking profession, Zainab occasionally teaches Islamic financial products and employability skills on a part-time basis. She holds an MBA degree from University of Strathclyde, and she is a proud Strathclyder, and a BSc in Management and IT from Bentley University based in Boston, the ACI Dealing Certificate in addition to an advanced Islamic banking diploma from BIBF. Such accolades and such a intense, deep knowledge that our alumni is bringing on board as well. Also, our alumni just recently got to have her certificate, her MBA graduation certificate as well. So congratulations to you, Zainab, for that. We'd love to hear from you. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Khurram, and thank you so much for the Strathclyde community for giving me this opportunity to speak about my experience. As you rightly mentioned, Khurram, I received my degree only yesterday, so I am considered as a fresh Strathclyder. I'm very delighted to be here tonight to share my experience with you. Dave gave us a very good introduction about the program, and I think my experience would mainly articulate from a personal perspective what Dave has previously discussed and brought on the table. So from a personal perspective, why I chose this MBA, when I graduated from Bentley University back in 2007, and my first job was with BNP Paribas, where I worked with them for 10 years. In 2017, when I hit my 10th year anniversary, I paused and I was like, what's next now? I've done very well. I was very well established. I've developed a very good base of technical expertise in corporate and investment banking, but that was not enough for me. And here where I decided to go for a career shift. And from that time, it wasn't an easy decision. It took me almost 8 months of thinking and evaluating different alternatives of what I wanted next and what kind of education I want to pursue. When I landed on the Strathclyde Business School MBA that was offered in Bahrain. And why I was criticized a lot, like, why are you going to do, you're an investment banker, you're specialized in Islamic finance, why do you want to go and do an MBA at this stage? Yes, I was criticized for that, but I had all these professional certificates in my field, and I had the practical experience in investment banking, in Islamic finance, in corporate banking, and this is not what I needed next because I had my goal defined. And as Shafi mentioned rightly, it's about the goals that you put in place and that you define for you and to work towards. So my goal was to pursue a consultancy business. Something that I wanted to develop, that's something that I was very interested in. And even my background, my professional background was giving me the opportunity to pursue. However, I needed to upgrade my skills. Why I chose this MBA, because of its core strength, which are the strategy modules And this is the main thing what I needed, because when I want to do financial consultancy, or I wanted to do management consultancy with financial institutions in the region, and we're providing these kind of consultancies to corporate and institutional clients in the region. So for me to know this, I needed to shift, and I needed to have some sort of direction from a strategic point of view. It's not only about the technical experience you have, but how to look at things from a strategic point of view. And this is why Strathclyde Business School was my choice for my MBA. And this is why I chose a master's to take an MBA and not to pursue a master's of science in a particular field like finance or accounting or any other business related field. So that was the first thing. The second thing from the Strathclyde, the second point which I want to emphasize on, the reflective manager practice that I've been that I've learned about from the very first module that was offered by the learning manager. It was in the back of my head, and I was even if I wouldn't practice it on actual writing, but I would always reflect it as I started my practice in consultancy. And this let me not only further develop my strategic skills, but it also made me reflect on things that I've done before and how I can improve these practices. And this was like a ledger or a diary that I had always to refer to on how we can take or improve our business, our product offering to our potential clients and to the existing ones as well. A third point that I also like to, I would also like to emphasize on, and I want everyone to take it very seriously. It really expanded for me to be, it really expanded my social network. It really expanded my professional network as well. As Shafi mentioned, that we were in a room with people from a medical practice background, pharmacists, engineers, people from oil and gas industry. These people, okay, I had limited interaction with them being my clients in the bank, some of the industries, but I wasn't interacting from a critical thinking perspective with these people. So when we used to work on these projects, when we used to exchange ideas, brainstorm our ideas and exchange our experiences, you would see how you could expand your perspective about when you look at a particular issue from different backgrounds and having different mindsets in the room. That was totally beneficial for us. And I would totally recommend the experience from that perspective. Even when I come now from my strategic consultancy practice, I had recently in late 2020, a project which was in the oil and gas industry. And we had a lot of technical agreements on the security side that I didn't understand. I didn't have much experience about. So I had a very casual call with one of my Strathclyde colleagues who's an engineer in the oil and gas sector in Saudi. And he had explained to me a lot of technical things. So imagine this had actually come into practice, and it actually helped me in my practical experience to improve and to understand. And this is a very good thing and a very good takeaway, the kind of relationships that you can make out of these academic programs. It's not only about the academic perspective of it, but it is very much relevant to your practical experience. So I'm only recapping. I believe that my experience was recapping what Dave was trying to introduce and was also reinforcing what Shafi had explained to us from his takeaway out of this program. So you really need to first define your goal. What is the objective out of this degree that you want to take, and how you can bring it into practice. It's not about you are just listing another degree on your CV. It's not about you trying to improve your income. These things will follow when you are in a position to really understand how to carry out your business. So this is pretty much it from my personal experience.
Thank you, Zainab. That was brilliant. Thank you to Dave, to Shafi, to Zainab for sharing your nuggets of wisdom and your experience here with us. We really, really do appreciate it all over. I know there were a couple of hands being raised, there were a couple of questions being asked. And for this session, I will hand over to two of my colleagues. We've got Elvin Joseph over here and Malishka. Let me introduce them before they come along. Now, Elvin Joseph is also an MBA student. So if you want to ask about the MBA experience and how that is going, you can also ask him questions regarding that as well. He's been with University of Strathclyde for the past 12 years, and he's currently the Regional Director of Business Development. We have Malishka Faria. You take 80 Strathclyde alumni from the past 20 years, and chances are, and almost 100%, they will remember Malishka very, very fondly. She's been with University of Strathclyde for about 20 years, and she's a very prized asset that we believe we have at the University of Strathclyde, the IBF Bahrain team. Elvin and Malishka, the virtual screen is yours for the question and answer session. Once again, as I described, anybody who has any questions can either put them in the chat or just raise the hand and we will ask these questions. Elvin and Malishka, over to you.
Thanks, Karan. That was really good. And thanks, Dave, Shafi, and Zainab. I mean, you were able to explain, put in context everything in terms of the program and your experiences on the program. So happy to take any questions in, and I can share from my perspective as a student now from the other side. So.
Yes, Umar, you're unmuted. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. First of all, thank you so much, everyone, for all this valuable information. I just want to make it short and quick. I don't want to take others' time. I have a bachelor degree in interior design from College of Engineering, but it was, let's say it's late. I graduated 2018, but I started working in telecommunication sector back in 2012. So my question is, I'm thinking very seriously to take the MBA nowadays. Like I might register in 1 week or two, but I have a few doubts. Will it be, let's say, beneficial for me? Will it be good, useful for me, or the BS, the bachelor degree in the interior design is enough for me? And this is my only question. Thank you so much.
Right. So if I understand correctly, Mark, you were asking if an MBA is the right sort of pathway for you, or would your bachelor's degree suffice? Is that right?
My problem or my concern is I come from a different background, which is the engineering and the interior design background. I know that the MBA is something different related to the management, banking sector and everything. But I currently hold a managerial position in a company, but not related to the interior design field. This is my main concern. I just want to know if this will be the correct step to take or not.
So if I were to ask, answer this question from a student perspective, I would say yes, because the kind of students we have on the program are like Shafi and Zainab mentioned previously. We have very diverse culturally and professionally students on the program. So when Dave shared the slides previously, you'll see that in 2020 and 21 alone, we had close to 11 different nationalities on the program, and people ranging from aviation to medicine, to medical, to education. So there are people from completely different sectors on the program. So the kind of learning curve that you receive on the program is so high. So how an engineer would look at a subject, let's say marketing, is completely different from how an airline pilot would look at a program. And so these are the kind of students we have on the program. So ranging from entrepreneurs to medical professionals. So when you're looking at an MBA, what you need to understand is the takeaway you get from the MBA and the holistic view you have towards how a business functions. So if you were to ask me, will that really help? Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Omar.
Okay.
Thank you, Umar. Ibrahim, please go ahead. Hi, Ibrahim, are you with us? I hear there's something in the background, so I'm sure you're with us. All right, we'll just come back to you, circle back to you later, Ibrahim. We had Muhammad Al-Uraini who had a question. Muhammad, are you with us?
Hi everyone. Yeah, I sent few questions through the chat, but maybe some of them are not related to the speakers. But the main one is, what's the optional tracks within the MBA, if there is any optional tracks, or is it just one track, one study style? Or that's my first question. And maybe the other question, is the certificate fully online?
Right. So I can answer that. Was it Mohammed who asked the question?
Yeah, if it's fully online, I have another question for both Zainab and Shafi. But is it that the question?
Right. So in terms of the this, you could call specialization, we have something called electives as part of the MBA experience. So electives is what you could call specialization, because when we say electives, there's close to 25 different choices that you find on the MBA. So when you say, let's say marketing, we have something in terms of brand management and strategy, or creating value for shareholders. So there are specific areas that we focus on in the elective options. So as a student, you get two electives on the MBA. So that's area of specialization that you can focus on in the MBA program. But your second question was really related towards Shafi or Zainab. So
yeah, yeah, if it's fully online, I know that you have limitations in Bahrain, for example, like in Saudi, regarding the online degree. Did you face any issues, Zainab and Shafi? If you have the same in UAE, did you face any issues, or at least did you consider these limitations when you took that decision?
Well, actually, Ibrahim. Mohammed? Yeah.
Mohammed, yes.
Well, actually, Mohammed, thank you for this question, because I wanted to draw on that, but I forgot to mention that. One of the most important things, and one of the very interesting modules that you will be taking, one of them is EIBE. It's called EIBE, which is basically you will learn how to draw scenarios. And one of the scenarios that I had back then in my project, that the pandemic will be coming, and that was the adverse scenarios, and how people and education sector, banking sector, all different sectors in the world will be reacting to that. And when the pandemic actually happened, Strathclyde didn't save an effort in that term. And they really adapted very well to shift the entire program into a virtual platform. And when you do the efficiency of the program, because I have the experience of both. My first year, I did it as a normal program that was happening in person, it was conducted in person. And the second year, when the pandemic emerged, we did it all virtual and online. So the transition was very smooth. It was very easy. All the resources were available. The faculty were on top of it. The availability of the faculty, the availability of resources, and the management of Strathclyde, how they managed the program was very smooth. We had a smooth transition, and I think we were probably one of the first institutions, because I've been at the same time dealing with different academic institutions at different levels, having my kids shifting also to virtual schooling. So the experience, how smooth it was with Strathclyde, I couldn't replicate it somewhere else. So if this was your concern, don't worry about it. I think you will be fine. Now we are all familiar with these platforms like Zoom.
No, did you face any limitations in terms of that you get your?
Any limitations? No. My only limitation that is I couldn't attend my graduation, which I have the option to attend it next year. That was my only limitation. Other than that, we didn't have any limitation.
I think he got disconnected. So while you were answering that question, just whoop. So I think his question was more towards the online part of the degree as well and the HSC accreditation. So for his knowledge and for everybody else as well, Elvin, would you like to answer that?
Yes. So on any normal setting, this was pre-pandemic. We have face-to-face classes, and once things resume back to normal, we will still have face-to-face classes, and presumably in the new building of the IBF. But so just like Zainab said, we already had existing digital assets, so it was easy for us to integrate everything to a virtual setting. So the students did not face any sort of lag. We were able to move them directly to a virtual environment and make sure that the experience was still enhanced and enriching for the students. But in terms of the accreditation, we are fully accredited by all the international bodies, including local accreditations such as the Higher Education Council, and not just in Bahrain, but even Saudi, in Oman and the UAE. So we do have all of the accreditations.
We have Ibrahim once again. I'm just going to mute him.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Everyone, yeah, I would like to thank the presenters, but unfortunately I didn't join at the beginning because I thought the email would come from the IBF. So I just have only one simple question, and this is the reason for attending this seminar or this meeting. For someone who have BS in computer engineering, I don't know who will answer this question. Do you recommend for him to go for MBA or specialize master in IT field, or MBA is recommended? That's my question, and thanks all.
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. That's a really valid question. And for this, I would like to ask maybe Shafi if you would like to answer, because you covered a certain aspect of that while you were sharing your experience.
Thanks, Elvin. I think it was Ibrahim. Yes, I covered that, and I'd happy to probably reiterate it in a better template. This is again a personal point of view where I would recommend that. As I said, the MBA is a supplementary element to the person's expand of knowledge and more opportunity to career growth. This might be argued, but I always think that when you have a technical aspect as well as a management and a well-reputed school, and ensuring that this program is aligned with the MBA principles and the spirit of why MBA is there, you would definitely have this kind of leverage. You are studying, or you have an IT background, and the way that I can put it for you to make it very simple, today, assuming that you are a programmer, whereby most of the time and the knowledge you have is capitalized on how, for example, to code a program or an application. And you could go for years being a master in that position. Now, depending if you define the goal of what you want to achieve, because again, not all of us not all of us, to be honest, is our comfort zone is to be a manager or being in a position to take decisions. And I respect that, of course, in any profession. However, it depends on what you are planning to have as a career growth. Would you want to be more as a consultant? You would like to be more into the programming itself? You enjoy that every morning? I mean, as an HR, I always have interview with my candidates. And the first question I ask, or the second probably, is what makes you hit the alarm in the morning? And of course, that hit should be sort of an encouraging hit, not the way that you want to break it. And an analogy that wake up in the morning should be a passion way to have your day. So if you want to be in the programming area, for example, depending on your specialty in IT, it is not wrong to pursue that, and you enjoy that on a daily basis and ensure that you want to do that. Another aspect probably I did not cover is many people like to be more in the academic part, more in the research-oriented roles. And MBA, of course, is the right dose for that, because as you go along the program, you would have a lot of ways on how to deliver the knowledge to and pass it to another. You'd have more communication skills and interpersonal skills. And one of the things is behavior, by the way. It shapes the personality. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that when you complete the program, you'll not just have probably friendships with the members. You would have sort of still I have a lot of friends which I have in contact with. You have this sort of if I'm allowed to say, it's a weird relationship. It's more of a colleague, but again, you've been in part probably more of a project. You worked in a project, for example, the airport project or the construction of a metro station. And you know that person, and you know that time when you were with him or with her, it was not a picnic. It was, ups and downs, and you might have been through a lot of tough times. But when you see him or you see her again, you have this kind of nostalgic way of knowing how to deal with that person because you've went through all the ups and downs with him or her. So that aspect builds a lot to the personality, and knowing how the emotional intelligence plays a crucial part in becoming a better person and knowing how to deal with other people. So from you, just to make it more simple and not to take long, from your point of view, that you think whether you want to take the MBA or not, it's purely your decision, and it's more dependable on what you want to do. If you're targeting to be a manager or managing a team, MBA is definitely the right choice. If you feel that it is not the time, you might take 2 or 3 years to think about it, and later on, maybe you want to take it. Another thing, as I said, if you wish to have more of research or teaching-oriented role, again, MBA is the right role. You might think of masters of other technology aspects. But why I'm so encouraged to have this session is the package of MBA is quite interesting. You might think that you don't have time to study finance, marketing, business, strategy in 2 or 3 years. But believe me, because of the compressed time, and you have to deal with sometimes lagging members, in my view, sometimes, you will have to face this challenge. You might have clash with different ideas. Believe me, if you think that this is the right choice for you to go through, MBA is the right place for you, unless you feel that programming as Brahim is fulfilling every day and you want just to be in front of a PC and get certification every year or so to be a successful programmer. Sorry, it took long.
Thank you very much, Shafi. It was a wide answer for a simple question, and thanks for a deep discussing the answer for my question. So if I would like to rephrase the question, the future market will seek people, for example, holding MBA with a background in computer engineering, or some people holding BS in computer engineering and master in, let us say, cybersecurity. What do you think the future will see?
I'll make it very simple, Ibrahim. We live in a very dynamic world. If you ask me today, we have to be much diverse. We have to expand our knowledge. If I were in position, which is a different circumstantial, theory here or analogy, I would definitely use every way to expand the knowledge I'm in. I mean, I studied accounting back in bachelor's, and I knew that this is just a narrow place where I could not further take that position in the career or progress it. But Ibrahim, the pandemic gives us a lot of lessons, to be honest. Today, it is not just about growing within your role or ensuring that you're the master of your specialty. Today, we are in a very much dynamic world, a very demanding world. It's becoming very competent. The market is not just looking for someone who knows how to code, for example, an application. If you want to have a competitive edge to get, for example, a role within an organization, or you want to build, as an entrepreneur, a business, you definitely need that competitive edge where you know more than your scope. And this is just, a generic advice, but it, again, depends on your defining your goals. But if you wish to take it further, because in 10 years' time, it's not going to be just what kind of specialty you're in. What further do you know? And usually this is what I do when I interview or screen candidates. I don't stress on the technicality part, whether they're capable or not. I know they did. They've worked, for example, 5 years in that field. I'm not going to question that. It's not my place to question it. What I would do is whether that person fits to the culture. to the organization that I'm in. And this goes back to the behavior and the characteristics of the person during that program. So when you relate all these elements into one combined program, for me, MBA is the right dose, especially if you take it at the right time. And if you want to have 5-10 years of comfortable mode where you think that you can, pass any screening in any organization, I think the competitive edge, especially that you're very technical, that you would have another aspect of it, such as finance, marketing, and all that. And this would probably give you the incentive when it comes to taking a role within the organization or being accepted or given an offer for any organization. So I hope that was clear.
Thanks, Shafi. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you again. Sorry, my phone died, so I had to log in from the laptop. The question generally now, is it going to be fully virtual from now on?
No, Mohammed, we will resume back to face-to-face classes once we have the government regulations set in place where we can have face-to-face classes. But at the moment, our semester is coming to an end, so we will have a new semester starting in October, at which time we are hoping that we will have face-to-face classes and possibly in the new building of BIBF.
Okay, and what's the attendance rate needed? Do I have to be a full student there? That's the only option?
Right, so now I would say most of the classes are not compulsory attendance, but we highly recommend that the students attend them because there's a lot you can learn from being in a classroom where all the students come together and sort of have sessions. I mean, they have.
Okay, so this is an on-campus program.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just to add on to that, we are going to be providing hybrid options as well, as and when it develops. So that is something that yet remains to be seen as per the regulations. Are there any questions? I'd like to go with going once, going twice, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, to all those who attended. And we hope that it was some sort of a benefit for you, regardless of where you choose to continue your higher education and elevate your skills and your career. We'd like to especially thank you, Dave, for joining us all the way from UK. And we'd like to especially thank you, Zainab and Shafi, our alumni over here, who continue to support us. And we really, really do appreciate it. Also, thanks to Elvin and Malishka for being a part of it, for helping us organizing this whole thing. If there are any other further questions, you can reach out to us. We will be reaching out to you with a recording of the whole thing, and we would have our details at the bottom of it. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at any point in time, or simply give a call to BIBF's contact details or visit BIBF's website to get to us as well. And we'd be more than happy to receive any questions, clarify any queries, and we look forward to having you all with us. Thank you once again for attending. Have a good evening and a great weekend. Ciao.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.